Okay, guys, this is just going to be your exam, your review for your test. I'm not going to be here for the entire block, so you can use this to go through and make sure you know how to work everything on the review and be fully prepared for your test that you're going to have at the end of the week. Do note to start with, if there's going to be multiple videos, I have to stop them within 15 minutes so that they'll upload to YouTube without being too much trouble. Okay. Right here at the beginning, before I get started, just know that I've got some corrections. You should already see it on your paper that I changed these problems. So this is f of x equals 3x squared plus 18x plus 10. And then this one is going to be f of x equals just a regular old x squared minus 18x plus 7. Okay. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. Hopefully there won't be any more corrections. Okay, what is the standard or vertex form of a quadratic equation? Remember, standard and vertex form, those are the forms that you can easily identify the vertex. So we've got y equals a x minus h quantity squared, make sure you got your square, plus k. So that's what we're looking for. On general form, that's the one where everything's multiplied out. So you have y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. And so we need them to look exactly like that. You got to have all the letters in the right spots, the powers in the right spot, everything. It's got to be identical for you to get the credit for that. Okay, now let's move down to Roman numeral number 2. Determine the vertex of each quadratic function. Okay, well, number 1 is not bad at all because it's actually in vertex form. So you're just needing to identify your little HK, which was the vertex. So if you'll remember, this is where the H was. That one, you always have to change the sign. So whatever is in the parenthesis, change the sign, and that's the H value. And the K value is from the back end, and it is what it is. So if it's positive, you keep it positive. If it's negative, you keep it negative. And that's just your vertex. You're done. All right, so now we're getting to number 2. Number 2, we're going to use our new problem up here, the x squared minus 18x plus 7. So let's use that. This is not in the form we need, so we have to go through that procedure to change form. So this is where we have to complete the square. So if you'll remember, this is where we made that space, and we're going to put that in parentheses. The 7 is out here. He doesn't have an x, so he doesn't play. And we got to put the other blank because remember we got to keep this thing balanced. Now the question you want to ask yourself is you want to look at your linear term and you want to ask yourself, okay, what is half of 18? And then you want to square it. So it's always half and square. So half and square that. So that would give me 9 if I halved it, and then 9 times 9 is 81. And you always, always, always put a plus sign in front of it. Now you have to do the opposite of that. You have to counteract it out here. So it's like you keep your equation in balance. So if that's a positive 81, this needs to be a negative 81. Okay, so from there we want to take this part that's in the parentheses and we want to squish it up. So basically write it all as a little package. So now we did the square root of the front and we did the square root of the back and the front sign. Now, since we have factored now, this should make more sense because if you factor that thing, what two numbers multiply to 81 and add to give you 18? Well, that would be 9 and 9. And according to our signs, they are the same and both of them are negative. So that's the reason we have x minus 9 wrapped up with a square, is because you have two of them. It's the same thing. So you can just write it down as 1 with a square out there. The only thing we have not done is we have not addressed the constants on the back end. So we actually have to say positive 7 plus a negative 81, or positive 7 minus 81. Either way you do it, what's that going to be? A negative, oh my, what is that? That would be 74. Okay, crazy number. Glad we're not graphing it. But our vertex would then be, remember we got to change the sign on this one, and we're going to keep the sign on that one. And that's all we got. So once you get your vertex, you're good. You just want to make sure you get in vertex form. Okay, now this is the hard one. You're still going to complete the square, but it's not ready to go yet because you got this 3 in front. So the first thing you've got to do is you've got to factor the 3 out of these first two terms. Now you're not worried about the 10. 10's not going to play. He's going to be outside. So we're going to leave the 10 out here. And make yourself a little blank. You got a little blank in here. So let's see here. We're going to say 3 divided by 3. Well, that's just going to be the x squared part. Then 18 divided by 3. Well, that's going to be 6. Don't forget your x's now. Okay. Once you get that done, you're ready to complete your square. So look at your linear term, and you want to do your half and square. Cut them in half. That's 3. Square it. 3 times 3 is 9. So I'm going to put plus 9. But don't jump the gun. Remember, you got to do what you really did. So what did I really do? I said 9 times 3 is 27. So that's what I've got to counteract, is a positive 27. So the opposite of that would be negative 27. So I got to clean it up. So if you remember how we packaged this, we're doing the square root of the front, we do the square root of the back, and whatever sign is in front drops right down there in the middle. Then we're going to take these two numbers and we're going to put them together and put them on the back end. So a positive 10 and a negative 27 make a negative 17. So my vertex from that, change our sign, and then keep our sign. And that's our answer. That's all we're interested in. Okay? So moving right along, you get to the next part of the test. It is very similar to what we just did. I'm just asking you more questions. Okay, so the very first thing is, well, it would help to read the instructions. So determine each characteristic of the quadratic and then graph each function. Okay. So I'm asking you for vertex, so that's what's repetitive. I just asked you for vertex. So you do the exact same thing we just did. Thankfully, the first one is already in vertex form. So you just got to remember to change the sign of the one inside and keep the sign of the one outside. So we know that it's the vertex is at negative 2, 3. We'll go ahead and graph that point. So negative 2 and down here at 3. This thing does not right where I put my finger, so it's kind of hard. Sorry. Okay, now AS, yeah, that was my abbreviation for axis of symmetry. So just in case you were wondering what that was, that's axis of symmetry. Remember, that's x equals whatever your x number is. So you're just going to take whatever that number is right here, and you're going to write it down. But make sure you put x equals, because the axis of symmetry is a line. So I need to, come through here, right through my vertex. That's my axis of symmetry. Now, next question is, which way does this thing open? And hopefully you remember where to look, because your eyes, for which way it opens, needs to look right there in front. Well, that's positive. Positive people smile. So that means this thing is opening up. So you should think, okay, it's like that. Negative. Positive people smile, negative people frown. So that would be opening down. All right, now when I say slope, that's probably not the best word. You probably think of like the A value. What is that number that's in front of the parenthesis? Since there's not a number, that would be 1. But that was me trying to get you to say, okay, that means I go up 1, over 1 on both sides over here. Okay, now go ahead and sketch it in. You've got enough to do the sketch. Remember, you only do the little slope or the A value once on either side. That's all it really works for, because it's a curve. Now, domain. The domain on all of these things will always be negative infinity to positive infinity. Always. They're not going to change because they're quadratic functions. They get fatter and fatter and fatter. So they're going to eventually get to negative infinity and eventually get to positive infinity. Now the range, that's different. So every problem is going to be different for range. So this is your y values. And what you need to think about is, think about it as an interval, but you want the bottom and then the top. Let me change that to top. There we go. So where is the bottom of this graph? Well, it looks like it's hitting right there. What is that? That would be negative 3 is where the bottom is. So I'm starting at negative 3, and it goes up here. I have arrows, which mean forever, right? So it really is at negative 3, so I need a bracket, and then you always use parentheses with infinity. So that's everything you needed there. Now number 2 is harder because you've got to first change form. So you've got a little bit of space on your paper. I didn't give you a whole lot. Sorry about that. but you need to take this negative 4x squared minus 10x. Oh, whew, I was fixing to say, that's not going to work good. Mine's got it wrong. I fixed it on your paper. So let me just black this out, and I'm just going to use it down here. Your paper has it right. So negative 4x squared minus 16x, minus 2. So that's my little function. Okay, so just like number 3 up above, you can't do it because it's got the negative 4. So we first have to take the negative 4 out of these two terms. So I've got to go through and divide those two by negative 4. So negative 4 divided by negative 4 is a positive 1. You didn't mess with the x's, so write them down. Okay, go to the next term. Negative 16 divided by negative 4, that's going to be a positive 4. And you didn't mess with the x's, so bring it down. Now this little 2, he doesn't play. So just let him sit out here. And we need some blanks. Because now we got to fill it in. Remember, this part, we want to cut it in half, and we want to square it. So half of 4 is 2. 2 times 2 is 4, and it's always and forevermore a plus. But what did we really do? That would be 4 times a negative 4 is a negative 16. Well, I have to counteract that, so do the opposite sign. So I have negative 4, and then I'm going to put this, squish it down, so rewrite it as a binomial squared. So square root of the front, square root of the back, and the front sign falls right in there. And then the only thing left to do is the math out here. That's going to give me a plus 14. And probably, I'll be honest, 14 is probably not going to be on your graph. We're going to be running off the page. Oops, my bad. Okay, but we should be able to answer all our questions from here. So your vertex should be, think about it, you got to change the sign there. That'd be a negative 2 and a positive 14. So we just need to put that up here in this blank, negative 2, 14. Okay, so negative 2, 14. I do believe this thing has 10 of them, so just go up. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, good enough right there. Yay. So there he is. Now, axis of symmetry. If you'll remember, it's x equals your x number. So that means I'm going to come in here and write down this, the middle, off that dot. Just put a dotted line. That's your axis of symmetry. Now, for which way does it open? There's two places you could look. You could look either here at the leading coefficient, or you could look down here in vertex form at the leading coefficient. It's the same number. So since it's negative, negative people frown, so this thing opens down. Okay? So whenever I say slope, just think about, what is that number? I'm just asking you what the A value is. That was a negative 4. So that's what I'm wanting you to do, is from our dot, my dot's way up here because remember I'm off the screen, go down 4, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and then over 1. So he's kind of skinny. So really kind of skinny. Just put you some arrows on the end so that you don't think that he stops, because he doesn't. Hopefully you remember what the domain is, because they're the same thing for every one of these things. Even though he's skinny, he is going to get fatter and fatter and fatter as he goes. Now your range is different for every problem. Remember, it's the bottom and then the top. So bottom and then top. So what is the bottom of this graph? Well, if I look at the graph, the bottom of it's got arrows in it. So what does that mean? Hopefully you're thinking negative infinity, because it keeps going forever. So where does it top out? Well, the top of it's up here, which was at, what was that thing? Oh, negative 2. It just lets me know I need to wind it up. Negative 2 and 14. So I need to put a 14 right there, and it really is there, so put you a bracket. Okay, so that winds up those. I will start back on the rest of it in the next video. Okay.